Picture a quiet suburb in Illinois. A young girl sits in her room, scrolling through her phone, dreaming of a bigger life. She feels trapped in a small town, in a family that never seemed to understand her, in a world that told her she wasn't enough.
Whoa.
Her real name was Amara Maple, but the world would come to know her by a different one, Lana Rhoades. Fast forward a few years, and that same girl would become one of the most searched women on the internet. Her face would be on screens across the globe. Her name would be whispered with fascination, judgment, and controversy. In just a short span of time, she would go from obscurity to infamy and ultimately into a whirlwind she could never fully escape. But what drives someone to leave behind everything they know and step into an industry that guarantees both fame and stigma? Was it ambition? Was it desperation? Or was it simply a young woman trying to find herself in a world that often shows little mercy? The story of Lana Rhoades isn't just about adult entertainment. It's about the cost of chasing freedom. It's about the rise of a woman who wanted more and the fall that came just as quickly. Within only a few years, Lana would go from anonymous Midwestern teenager to adult film superstar and then to one of the most controversial figures on social media. Along the way came millions of fans, millions of critics, whispers of scandal, broken relationships, and a transformation that left the internet asking, who is the real Lana Rhoades? This is not just a story of fame, it's a story of escape, of regret, and of the unrelenting power of the internet. And to understand Lana's present, the woman she is now, we first need to revisit where it all began. Amara Maple grew up in a middle-class family in Chicago's suburbs, Illinois. To the outside world, her childhood looked ordinary. But inside, she felt restless. She was outspoken, rebellious, and often clashed with her parents. There was tension in the home, a sense that she didn't fit into the mold of the good daughter her family expected. School didn't offer much refuge either. She struggled to find her place. Teachers saw her as distracted, classmates whispered, judged, excluded. She later admitted she often felt like an outsider, misunderstood and underestimated. For Amara, the walls of her small town felt like a cage. As she grew into her teenage years, that restlessness hardened into defiance. At just 16 years old, she ran away from home for the first time. By 17, she had dropped out of high school. She bounced between jobs waitressing, working at a diner. Ambition. Amara wanted more. She wanted freedom, independence, and a way out of the suffocating cycle of small-town expectations. It was around this time that she discovered the world of adult entertainment online. At first, it was curiosity. Then it became fascination. She realized there was a stage out there where she could be seen, where she could reinvent herself, where no one could tell her who to be. At just 19 years old, Amara Maple became Lana Rhoades. With a new name came a new identity, bold, unapologetic, and ready to step into the spotlight. She entered the industry in 2016, and almost immediately, the world began to notice. Her story could have ended here. Just another young woman trying to carve out a living in an industry known for burning through its stars. But for Lana, things moved differently. Faster. Louder. Within months, she wasn't just another performer. She was a phenomenon. Los Angeles. Launsen Ling Yi Shalou. The sun burns against tinted windows as a rideshare slips through traffic. In the back seat, Lana scrolls. And what she sees doesn't look real. Clips from her first scenes are circulating faster than she can refresh. Reddit threads stretch for miles. On Twitter, strangers call her by a name she barely feels she owns yet. The velocity is staggering. Within months, Lana Rhoades isn't just a new face in adult entertainment, she's one of the most searched women on the internet. Algorithms favor her. Fans obsess over her. Studio executives scramble to book her. Every week means new contracts, new checks, new headlines on industry blogs. But fame in this world doesn't spread like perfume. It spreads like fire. It doesn't ask what you want. It doesn't wait for you to be ready. Lana steps into shoots where the crews are bigger, the lights hotter, the paychecks higher. She plays the role the industry wants from her. Bold, untouchable, fearless. And the more she plays it, the more the audience believes it's who she truly is, off camera. Though, cracks begin to show. Nights stretch into mornings where she doesn't remember the Uber ride home. Contracts pile up faster than she can read them. She tells herself she's in control, that she's the one choosing. But the truth is more complicated. She feels the duality everywhere. On one side, millions of fans. Money she never thought she'd see. The validation of being called a star. On the other side, stigma. Whispers. And the quiet knowledge that the more popular she becomes, the harder it will be to walk away. Fame comes with unexpected costs. People she hasn't spoken to in years suddenly reach out, reminding her of debts, favors, family ties. Paparazzi-style photos surface, taken when she wasn't aware. Even grocery store trips become performances, eyes tracking her, phones angled in secret. And then comes the first wave of scandal. A contract dispute. Rumors of unprofessional behavior. Online forums painting her as both idol and villain. Lana scrolls the comments at 3 a.m. Her room dark except for the glow of the screen. Some messages worship her. Others tear her apart. One line sticks. You'll never escape this. It was no there. She locks the phone, stares at the ceiling, and wonders, is this what success is supposed to feel like? Because on paper, she's at the top. The metrics prove it. The industry crowns her. Fans can't get enough. But somewhere inside, Lana Rhoades begins to understand a truth the internet rarely shows. That the peak of fame and the beginning of the fall often share the same view. The numbers said she was winning. Search charts spiked. Clips spread like wildfire. But behind the statistics was a woman slowly unraveling. By 2017, Lana Rhoades was at the center of everything the industry wanted, and everything it devoured. More shoots. More contracts. More pressure. Every week was another performance. Another mask to wear. The audience saw glamour. The reality was exhaustion. The cracks widened. A fight with a studio over contracts spilled into online forums. Rumors turned into headlines. Unprofessional. Unstable. The industry that had lifted her up began to sharpen its knives. And then came the controversies that had nothing to do with the set. Her relationships became tabloid fodder. Twitter threads dissected her love life in real time. Every breakup was public. Every misstep became content for strangers to judge. A single argument could snowball into thousands of tweets, calling her names she couldn't escape. Behind closed doors, Lana was fighting battles invisible to her millions of fans. Burnout, anxiety, sleepless nights. She began speaking out, sometimes in interviews, sometimes impulsively online, about the dark underbelly of the industry, the contracts, the manipulation, the way studios profited long after performers had walked away. She revealed that much of the fortune people imagined she made was a mirage. The money stayed with the distributors, the stigma stayed with her, and the stigma was relentless. She was only in the industry for a short time, but its shadow followed her everywhere. Job opportunities outside the industry evaporated. Strangers shouted her name in public, reducing her to a past she was trying to escape. One night, sitting alone in her apartment, Lana stared at her reflection. Not the glossy image on magazine covers, not the viral clips. Just a young woman, barely in her 20s, asking herself if she could keep living this way. The answer, quietly but firmly, was no. She walked away. No farewell performance, no press release, just a decision to cut ties and try to rebuild. But leaving the industry didn't erase it. The internet never forgets. Every clip, every photo, every scandal lived on. And Lana Rhoades had to face a new, more complicated question. If you can't erase the past, how do you build a future beyond it? She was only in the industry for a short time. Yet years later, the name Lana Rhoades still carried weight, still sparked instant recognition. The question became, could she turn that notoriety into something new? Or would she always be defined by the past? When she left the adult film world, Lana didn't disappear. She redirected. She leaned into social media, building millions of followers on Instagram and Twitter. There, she wasn't a character on a set. She was herself, unfiltered. Outspoken. Unpredictable. Some posts went viral for their humor, others for their controversy. But one thing was clear. People were still watching. Then came the podcast. In Dry Girl's Ein's kitchen, Lana sat at a table with fellow influencers, talking openly about relationships, fame, and the darker sides of the industry. The show was raw, funny, messy, and it resonated. For the first time, Lana controlled the microphone. Not just the camera. She wasn't being directed. She was directing the conversation. But perhaps the most shocking twist in her story wasn't professional. It was personal. In 2021, Lana announced she was pregnant. The news lit up the internet. Some congratulated her. Others mocked her. Everyone speculated. When her son was born, she stepped into a role no one expected. Motherhood. Pictures of her holding her baby appeared on her social feeds, replacing the glossy shoots of years past. She wrote about sleepless nights, about love she never imagined she could feel, about the difficulty of raising a child while carrying the baggage of a very public past. The internet, as always, had opinions. Some saw her as a woman who had reinvented herself. Others refused to let go of the label attached to her name. Financially, Lana found new ways to thrive. She monetized her online presence, partnered with brands, launched content on platforms where she held control. The wealth people once assumed she had in her early career finally began to materialize this time. On her own terms, still. The past never vanished. In interviews, she spoke about the trauma, the regrets, and the stigma she faced. She warned other young women about the dangers of the industry, saying bluntly, "It will follow you forever." He's great minds, and yet, through all of it, the controversy, the criticism, the second life as a mother, Lana Rhoades remained unapologetically visible. She refused to fade quietly into obscurity. Instead, she forced the world to see her not just as a former adult film star, but as a woman who had survived the rise, the fall, and was now navigating something even harder: ordinary life under extraordinary scrutiny. The internet remembers everything, and for Lana Rhoades, that truth has been both a curse and a strange kind of crown. To some, she will always be the adult film star who skyrocketed to the top of search engines in record time. To others, she's a cautionary tale about ambition, contracts, and the unforgiving permanence of digital fame. And yet, for millions of young women watching her today. She represents something else entirely: the possibility of survival, of starting over, of refusing to let the world define you by your worst or boldest decisions. Her story is tangled. It's messy. It resists easy labels. She was Amara Maple, the restless teenager from Illinois. She became Lana Rhoades, the face of an industry she would later criticize. And today, she is a mother, a creator, and still, whether she likes it or not, a lightning rod for controversy. What does her legacy really say? That fame can be instant but never free. That the internet gives and takes in equal measure. That the cost of reinvention is not forgetting the past, but learning to live alongside it. And so we are left with a question. When you hear the name Lana Rhoades, what do you see? A scandal? A survivor? A mother? A brand? Or perhaps all of these at once? What is undeniable is that her journey from a small-town girl to an international figure, from stardom to stigma, from controversy to motherhood, is a story that defines the paradox of modern fame. Because in the end, Lana Rhoades is more than just a headline. She is a mirror of the world that created her, judged her, consumed her, and still cannot look away. So what do you think? Has Lana Rhoades successfully rewritten her life? Or will the internet always chain her to her past? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more celebrity stories: the rise, the fall, and everything in between.